What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. Um, it's been a while since I've spoken. As you know, I put out a test video just before this. I just wanted to be sure that, or to see how the upload would go from a Wi-Fi connection. Because normally when I do, anytime I've done videos on my phone, the upload takes 5 years. So I was pleased with how fast it went on the upload. So I'm back to speak. I also want to say that this may be a series of parts for this video because I'm not going to do the editing and all that post stuff like that. Just when this cuts off, then just know to go and click on part 2. Because I'm not really sure about my record time, and this is a new device for me. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, but I've been a little absent also because of the end of our holy month of Ramadan, which ended on Tuesday for Muslims around the world. And I want to say a belated Ramadan Mubarak to all of my Muslim brothers and sisters under the sound of my voice. May Allah accept your fast, may He accept your prayers, and may He have made this Ramadan easy for you, and may you receive the ajr for your effort, both in this life and in the akhirah. Amen. I'm going to try to move through this, you guys. It's something I don't do. Y'all know I'm just purposeful and I just do my thing, and I'm going to do that. But I'm also going to be a little bit mindful of trying to get as much in on each part as I can. You know, my aunt, my step-aunt and my sister called me, I don't know, a few days ago from New York, and my aunt brought up this this Ava Duvernay piece called When They See Us. And it's a documentary about the case that went on back in the 1980s with the Central Park Five. It was a group of young boys, young African boys, who had been snatched up and accused and tried and convicted of the brutal attack on a white female jogger in Central Park in New York. As it turned out, they were not guilty. Indeed, what eventually most of them served their time. Well, most of them served their time, except for one who was still in when the real killer came forth, or the real attacker, because the lady survived. The real attacker came forth and confessed to the crime. When he ran into the last one who was in prison, who had been being transferred to different prisons, trying to get closer to a location that would be easier for his mother to come see him. And he ran into this guy at one prison. They had a fight, actually. Then they ran into each other in another prison, and he goes, "You're still here?" You know? And the guy knew who he was. And he was like, he didn't say anything to him, but he went to the authorities and confessed, and then, you know, it kind of worked its way through the system. And so not only was he released, but they were eventually exonerated in the press and all that stuff. It was on Netflix. You guys know I don't have Netflix because I stood with Monique when she asked us to boycott Netflix. I did that. I continue to do that. The only way I was able to see it is because, sadly, this is one of the things where I question if me and my sister are related. Anytime she does something that is completely antithetical to my beliefs and my principles and everything I stand for, I'm like, how are we related? How am I your brother and you do X, Y, and Z? Like, how am I related to you if you're doing, you know? So this is one of them things where she did not get rid of Netflix. So she just sent me her thing and I was able to watch it. Um, the first thing that should stand out to you is something that echoes something I always preach. You've heard me say a million times. Go back as far as you want in all of history of our oppression in this nation. And look at police brutality. Look at police murders. And see if you find any names that sound like mine. As you guys know, I have an Arabic name that I never reveal. Many of you who know me personally and we've connected on the phone and we've spoken on Skype and things like that, you guys know who I am. But I always tell you don't have names that sound like ours. It's always black Christians who are the focal point. These are the people who, anytime we talk about sellouts, traitors, coons, people that help the enemy of our people to hold us back, etc., etc., it's always black Christians. Like, that's just a fact, sadly. It just is. And in this case, once again, when the boys were first arrested, and throughout you see this theme. The one who knew the most, who had the most support from family and all that stuff, and a lawyer, and was out on bail first, and was the Muslim. Yusuf, I believe his last name is Islam. I think his last name was Islam. Anyway, again, you know, you saw the difference in the character of him versus the other boys. Not that they were total disasters, but I have to point that out because I always have said to you, and I will continue to tell you, the character of the Muslim is vastly different than that of our Christian counterpart. It just is, everybody. It just is. And I hope that was not missed on you when you, if you've seen the piece, I hope that registered someplace with you. Wait, the little Muslim kid. Now, I don't know, because his mother wasn't dressed in hijab and all that stuff. So they may have only been exposed to the Nation of Islam, which I told you are not Muslims. All right. But later when he's in prison, his mother is like, have you been studying your Quran? And he mentions some Arabic. And she goes, oh, yes, you've been doing your studies. And even in there, he was having an easier time than some of the other ones because he had found his Muslim brothers. It's real. It's just real, everybody. Now, it just is. I tell you, the Jedi doesn't need to proclaim anything that's not the truth. I'm not going to waste your time or mine. If it ain't the truth, we don't need to deal with it. We're just not. We're just not. So, that stood out. It stood out. But it also goes to, and the other reason why I was interested in seeing it is because it is done by Ava Duvernay. And she has represented to me someone who's very serious about the work that she does, you know. We all saw the work she did on 13. It was exquisite. It was thorough. And I expected and got that same level of excellence from her on this. She really did a fantastic job of telling the story. Go Ava. And what's ironic, you guys, is I had already been, for some reason, I had been revisiting that case anyway. And so when my sister and my aunt brought it up, I go, funny you guys are saying this because I had just been reviewing that case. And I had been watching some things and and I had just found out about the movie because in my looking, only reason why I knew there was even a movie before they even said anything was because I saw Ava on she was at like some college or something like that, and she was being interviewed about the movie. And I find her to be somebody who's very engaging as a woman. Like, I noticed she's not wearing a wedding ring, so there might be a chance for the Jedi. So if y'all know Ava, holler at her. So let her know it's a real good brother out here. You know what I'm saying? She missing out. recording video. Okay. He's yelling at me. Because, whatever. Alright, fine. I've never seen her unkempt. She's beautiful. She's a woman. And I have to add that. She's a woman. And by mentioning that, I'm saying she represents and carries herself as a woman. You know, you could be a female all day. That don't make you a woman. You see what I'm saying? That just don't. But she represents herself as a woman, and I'm most impressed by her. Even though she is definitely friends with one that we have dragged off the earth and have canceled off the earth, and that is Oprah Winfrey. I'm so sorry. So sorry. But, so she did an exquisite job on this, and I was watching an interview of her, and she was talking about how when they went to shoot in Central Park, it's changed since the 80s, and she was saying how, like, the park service really was not trying to give her full range, because it's all clean and everything now. And she goes, I came in with my clipboard, and she was like, okay, I need trash over there, I need graffiti here, I need this. And anyway, but she was able to achieve her objective, with angles and the way they shot it and stuff like that. But this is a commentary, because if you take away that it's happening in the 1980s, it's the same thing, and I always tell you, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The deliberate system of oppression and denial and exclusion of African people continues. Just like with the case of Laquan McDonald, which we all know was recent, it's in contemporary time. This is from the 1980s, but yet we see the same thing. In the case of Laquan McDonald, we saw that the whole entire city had colluded and come together to suppress the evidence, the videotape evidence of his murder, up to and including the governor, or the mayor, Rahm Emanuel. In this case of the Central Park Five, we saw that, once again, the white lynch mobs came out, because that's the only people that come out and are outraged about everything, is the white lynch mobs, So, there they were, and they were sure they had done it. It was a mountain of evidence. It was this and the third. And this is the thing that they don't consider when we get to something like OJ. You see, here you had, these boys had been put on camera, beaten, harassed, had been denied lawyers, had been denied their parents and adult supervision, all that stuff, and had been battered for, 15 hours or something. I think it was 15 or 28 hours, something. It was like a very, very long, I feel like it was 24 hours, but anyway, that they were badgered and forced to give these statements on camera, including themselves in a crime they didn't commit. Being told that if you just tell us what we want to hear, that if you just tell us what we want you to say, if you say what we want you to say, you'll get a chance to go home. You see? Well, Yusef knew a little more than the other ones, He ended up, he's still a human. And alas, they were all children, all under the age of 18. They were all 14 and 15-year-olds. And, you know, uh, so that's all they had. They had no DNA evidence, no anything, nothing, and they just built a case to fit, and then made them make these confessions, and then that's what they were convicted on. So one has to contrast that to OJ, when we as an African people, we know the true level of evil of white people. Certainly we know and that extends, their evil extends to their institutions of policing, of the justice system, of judges, everything. If they're there, their evil is with them. Wherever you have a snake, all that makes up a snake is there. So this was no different. So we could absolutely understand uh, this in a way that they refuse to acknowledge. Because it's not. I don't think it's like, oh, they can't see it. They see it and they just refuse to acknowledge it because they're on the shitty end of the stick. You see. So when we get to an OJ, we see it and we're like, okay, show us murder, and we're happy to go along with it. They see a domestic violence case that doesn't prove murder, and they're outraged that he wasn't convicted of murder. And in their minds, police and prosecutors and everybody else does nothing wrong. Well, we know they're the very definition of evil. You know? So I have to contrast those two. I will say that the acting was phenomenal, as my aunt put it. She wanted to make sure she told me that. She goes, the acting is phenomenal, And it really was. If you haven't seen it, you should see it if you already have Netflix. It's a plethora of emotion. It's an emotional roller coaster that I certainly went through watching it. From pride to anger to fury to homicidal to deeply depressed and sad to, it's every emotion, dude. It's every emotion. And I'm really bad on names, y'all. Now y'all know that. But the one, what's his name? He's the last one that got out. And this actor actually was fantastic, even more fantastic, because all the other ones, they had one actor that played them when they were younger and another one that played them when they were older. And this one, he played himself. He played the teenage role, or the young boy role, and the grown man role. So he was just, but his character really stood out to me because he was a friend of Yusef's. And they were walking away when they got snagged up by the cop. When the cops were out looking for people to snag up. And when the cop was telling, you come with me, you come with me. Yusef was a trepidatious guy. He's shy and a little self-insecure because he couldn't read also, which also made him more enchanting to me. I loved these guys, man. I loved them. I really did love the actors. But he said, well, yeah, I'll go with you, Yusef, because, so your mom won't be mad at me. He's literally sitting out in like some hall waiting, and he doesn't even see, because after Yusef has been there, and that's right, they didn't have Yusef on tape confessing, because when his mom got wind of it, she went down there and demanded to go in there and snatch her child up out of there. She goes, you're not making no more questioning. You don't have any right to have him in here being questioned without notifying me as his parent. And at one point, the prosecutor said, who are you? She goes, I'm his mother. It's just say, like, Heffa, I'm the one that gave birth to him. How dare you even question who I am? Oh, it was so good. And she went in there and grabbed her son and marched him up out of there. But they walked right past the kid's name who I can't think of. He was asleep. And he was like in this little side room, so they didn't see him. And they came out and said, "You," and then that's how he got snarled up into all of it. But he becomes even more profound because he was the worst treated. Every prison he went to, he was attacked. One of the prisons, he was literally beaten and stabbed. He came within an inch of his life. Even the doctor said, if you survive this, then God is on your side. You know, when he's laying there bloody and beaten and just, yeah, I mean, he was jacked up, dude, like for dead. And I found myself praying for them too, for the actual brothers that went through this, asking Allah to, because I know in my own life God has changed space and time for me, everybody, on a dime. Has changed space and time for me. And I asked Allah to do that for them, so that to give them their lives back, to give them double the time on earth that they had already lived, give them that much more, give them a sense of peace and wholeness in this life. I've asked Allah to blot out their sins, their inequities, their shortcomings, and any of their ignorance, and open the doors of paradise for them after this life. Because they went through serious jihad. Serious jihad. Just by having their young lives taken away from them, being convicted of something you didn't do. They went through hell. But why this last one becomes so stand out to me is because every time he would come up for parole, the first time he was all excited. But when he got in there and they get to the question, asked him, the first thing they asked him is, "Are you ready to take responsibility for the crime you committed?" And he freezes like, "Last time somebody asked me to tell the damn truth or say what they wanted to hear, this is where I ended up. And I wasn't guilty. Now my freedom depends on me holding up this lie still." And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Mind you, he's been through hell. He's even being assaulted by prison guards. He is in hell, everybody. You must see this just for that. You must. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He was in solitary confinement for most of his incarceration because he was being beaten so much and attacked. And somebody said to him, you should go to solitary confinement. He didn't have the intellectual property to really understand what that meant. But he went to solitary confinement. He lost all sense of time. He didn't know how long he had been in there. She did a very good job of showing how the mind plays on you, but it was also spoke to my own spirituality and what I know about the spiritual realm, that the mind is the greatest thing. And I know these stories from other people that have been in solitary confinement, how you can literally transport yourself someplace else. Remember I brought you guys the case of Anthony Ray Hinton, who had been just snatched up out of his mother's yard, accused of a murder they didn't commit, and they knew he wasn't guilty. The police even told him when they arrested him, "We know you're not guilty, but we don't care, because you're gonna have we don't care, and you're gonna have a white judge, a white jury, and a white prosecutor." And they go, "You know what that spells? Guilty." But he spoke about being in solitary confinement and part of his incarceration, and how he was talking about women he had been married to in his mind, that he had married while he was in prison. Celebrities. I think one of them might have been Halle Berry. He goes, "I'm actually married to Halle Berry. I married her in prison." It's just where his mind had took him. But Ava did a fantastic job of showing us the psychological trauma that this brother went through. of being in this situation, being in solitary confinement, and how he could transport himself literally to places and be there. She should get an Oscar just for this. Like, I'm actually shipping out one of my... I normally wouldn't do this, but I normally wouldn't do this, but I have to make the exception for this case. So I'm actually FedExing out one of my own Oscars to Ava. I've got my people doing it now. They're doing it now. You guys are okay. Yeah, they're telling me. All right. They're telling me FedEx is out front now, so it's happening. All right, that's what I can do. That's what I can do. So I'm doing what I can. Wow. But you saw the relationship between the mothers, and you saw how the effect on everybody. John Leguizamo is in the movie as well. Brilliant. Niecy Nash, who I've never been interested in anything she's ever done, and it's like, get out of my face. But that heifer needs an Oscar for this performance she gave. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything serious. She was brilliant. She was brilliant. Everybody in it was brilliant. And to all our Queen Sugar fans out there, Hollywood had a cameo. Like, he wasn't even a cameo. He had a speaking part and everything. Hollywood, that was married to Aunt Vi. I'm like, I know that dude. But y'all know Hollywood usually bald. This dude had hair. I'm like, but I know that dude. I know him. So I was Googling and checking, and that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood. I knew him. Anyways, nobody slacked on it. Everybody was in this damn film except for me. And I'm sorry I turned down the casting call now, because this was clearly an error in my career, and I just don't know what will happen after this. It was so good. The real people that are involved in this, they're all still alive. This city ended up giving them $42 million. They never used the word each. So, take that for what you want. I don't know if they split $42 million because the cases were tried separately. They weren't tried as a group. They all had different lawyers. Blair Underwood is in it. I met Blair Underwood many years ago, just as a side note, but he was very good. Everybody was good in this. But you also saw with the Latino kid, you got a chance to see, and with all of them really, you got a chance to see how, and the guy from The Wire, the dark-skinned dude with the scar, Michael something, brilliant actor, brilliant. He was brilliant in this. Everybody was brilliant, y'all. They were brilliant. It's a serious piece. They didn't cut corners, they didn't skimp, and they did what needed to be done. They gave it. But what I was going to say about the Latino kid, and all of them really, you saw how this felony thing, when you get out, first of all, I've been in jail for something I didn't do. Now I get out, and I'm disconnected from society. Can't get a job. I got to go and register as a sex offender. I can't be around anybody that's a felon. It's just, you realize, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? He actually ends up going back to jail for a time because he couldn't get a job no place. He was sick and tired of it. He eventually just ends up starting saying that time crack cocaine has come on the scene. He gets out and he sees these other brothers say, he gets the hookup, and he starts selling drugs. Well, he ended up getting busted for it, His father had moved on, basically. When he got out, he welcomed him into the home, but he had a new wife, and there was all these kids around. It just wasn't home. His room, there was a bunch of kids' stuff in there, and it was just, you could see the trauma. You felt this. That's the thing about it. You felt it. And I've told you guys in the past, and I'll continue to tell you, when you read or watch anything, including videos from the Jedi. You you don't want to be distracted by anything. I always tell you, even my videos, watch them in full screen. I expect that because I don't want you distracted by what's on the right. I want your full attention, but you should give that to anything that you watch and read because don't have anybody talking to you. Don't be eating because that takes some time to look down. Give it your full everything. Immerse yourself in that. That way, you first of all you don't miss anything, but second of all you absorb everything, and its impression upon you can be more complete. And then whatever your review of it will be more complete and succinct and have more depth because you were not distracted. You saw everything, you know, everything. I'm one of these people. I scream at the TV if the director, whoever is not just the director, but if the sound, the boom mic operator, when they get to scenes where the characters might be whispering or something like that, and I can't understand it, I keep going back until I hear what did they say, what they say. You wrote it, I'm supposed to hear it. So that annoys me. I'm at 31 minutes, I'm pushing it. Anyways, I'm going to say this and I'm going to end it and go to part 2. I watched this entire piece in one sitting. I think it's 4 parts. I watched it in one sitting, and it was profound. They had a little moment in there where they showed a clip of Donald Trump, who had inserted himself in the case back then. He said they should get the death penalty and all the other nonsense. And at one point, Yusef's mother, I think it was sitting with one of her girlfriends, and they show the clip of him on TV, and then her friend says, "Girl, his 15 minutes of fame will be up in a few minutes, or something like that." And it's just ironic because now he's the damn president, and he will be for another 4 years. By the way, he's going to be reelected. Everybody, I'm going to do a video about that. I've done some previous videos, but I'm going to redress the issue again, and it won't be the last time. But this one will be the first time that I'm saying it on camera. So that's the significance of doing a piece on it again. The most glaring significance. But I'll be laying out a succinct case of why he's going to be reelected, and then I will be letting you know that after that, when it does happen, I will come back if we all live, and I will do an I told you so video. All right, just like I did in 2016. I told you he would be elected. I laid out a very succinct video, and then I told you I would come back and do an I told you so video when it happens, and when it did, I came back and I did an I told you so video. All right, such will be the case with this. So, in the next part, I think I want to talk about the after the fact part of them. I want to talk about visitation. I want to talk about my own experience of being a corrections officer in a men's prison, and tell you how I could relate to some of the things in this because of that, and some other details about the film. We'll do that, so we'll leave this here at 33 minutes and 40 something seconds, and then you can now click on part 2, and we'll continue the discussion, and then we'll be out. I'll see you soon.